So, just in case anybody was wondering why it's 6th and 7th grade parents, a few reasons, but one big reason is because it means that I had your son either last year or the year before in my class. That's a big reason, and it means that I got to know all of you and your children, and a big part of what tonight is about is I feel continuing our partnership in raising your children to be real B'nai Torah, to make their life choices based on Torah values. And as a mechanech, I have, I think, a certain insight into certain challenges that kids face, and I want to share them with you, so that, Bez Hashem, we'll be able to mechanech our children to what we want them to become. And I say it like this. So I got to know all of you, and I know what you want for your children. I do know. I know what you want for your children. And tonight is really about just sharing knowledge that I have, that I know that Rabbi Yossi Strickman has, and sharing it with you so that we can do what you want to do anyways. That's really what it's all about. It's really about helping us do what we want to do. And Rabbi Yossi we're going to have a two-part program tonight. Rabbi Yossi is going to share with us some up-to-date, just factual things, very good up-to-date information about, let's say there is a family device in the house, what those devices are capable of, what a normal, healthy 6th or 7th grader will use that device for, hopefully, because even though some of the things that children use the devices for are not so maybe appropriate and not something that we're going to be proud of them checking out and investigating, but if they're healthy, then they will. So it is important to know what the devices that we are giving our children can be used from, are capable to be used for, and how we can really guard them from, and really make those devices available to our children in a way that is really the way that we intend for them to use it. Because without being really up to date with what different apps and different devices are capable of, we give our children a device thinking that it's designed for one thing, and we have an intention for them to use it in a certain way for entertainment or communication, whatever. And then, being young, savvy, curious children, healthy children, they can use those same devices that we have intention one way, and they can use it another way. And that's not what we want. So really tonight is about educating myself and everybody about what these devices are capable of, so that our children can use them in the way that we intend them to use it, and not another way. That's part one. And that'll be most of the night. I want Rabbi Yossi to take the floor right away, because he has much more to offer than I ever probably will on this topic, and also hopefully lots of Q&A, because Rabbi Yossi is really an expert. He knows all those apps on your phone. He knows them inside out. So ask him. A lot of things are filterable, and things can be really made safe. Things that I never thought could be made safe can be made safe. So just ask, because it's worth it. The last part of the program, I want to try to save the last 10 minutes of tonight's program for some of the things that you see on the chairs. And there's a very, very powerful new movement called MUST. It stands for Mothers Unite to Stall Technology. It's a very powerful thing. It's what's being done in many progressive schools. Proactive parents that take their parenting seriously, are joining together to create a healthy peer pressure across the board for our children, so that we won't have to lower our standards because of what other people may have. And I want to talk about that at the end as a real take-home, something that really can be done in every single class, so that, again, technology can be used the way we intend it, and not chas v'shalom the way that healthy children will use it if we don't educate ourselves. Okay, thank you, Rabbi Yossi, please.
Good evening, everyone. You ready to guys get a little educated tonight? internet can be used for a lot of good things. People have Stirm, they have Tehillim on there, download MP3, family pictures, what. Unfortunately, a lot of the kids today, if they get to these devices, the first thing they go to is, if not the first thing, the second day is pornography. And what you can say to me straight, like, right away, and the question really is, what do you call pornography for them, and what do you call pornography for adults? There's a lot of ways of getting to it. There's a lot of ways of accessing. One is just straight going to those sites. But there's a lot of easier ways. So you go into Google Images, type in any word you want. 1 word, 3 letters, 2 letters, 6 letters, which could mean you're trying to search for something decent, but you don't realize it has a meaning of something else, and boom, that's the first thing that the internet pulls up to you, towards you. Trying to get onto YouTube. I'm sure a lot of the kids here use YouTube. Yes, you want to go to Yeshiva World, you want to watch Uncle Moshe, you want to watch Mordechai David, or whatever singer you want to use, but all of a sudden on the side, there's all those clicks, there's all those suggestive videos to watch. 3 clicks away, there are places that you don't want them to be. Games. Kids have a lot of games. There's a lot of games out there, right? My kid came home the other week and said, you know, a bunch of kids are playing NFL Madden. We're starting a class team. I called the Rebbe. I said, whoa, you got to stop this. This is crazy. What's the problem? They're creating a team. They're inviting friends, but they don't know all the friends that are on the internet that are trolling around and stalking kids. That's what they're made for. That's what these guys do. That's what they make their living on. So what happens is that, you know, a lot of these kids think you think that they're doing a good thing, but all of a sudden you don't know who's talking to them and who's joining their games and acting like he's a 7th grader or 6th grader. And really he's doing a lot of a lot of bad things could happen. There was a story that was on the internet the other week. I saw that some girl got abducted. She was on Snapchat. I'm sure people heard of that app. And some guy followed her and, you know, took her away. I don't even know what happened in the story. But what I'm trying to say is it's that easy for, yes, there are boys here. Yes, that story was with a girl, but it doesn't make a difference. It's that easy to get connected to all these types of people. A lot of apps, and I'm going to go into detail, and I'm just going a little bit overview, and then I'm going to start diving in a little bit, you know, afterwards. A lot of apps have in-app browsing. It's a separate browser from the regular browser on the internet. So what happens is that you can block your internet completely, and you think you're doing a good job, but a lot of apps through the back, through the informational, the back end of the app, you have a new browser, no one knows about it, and they can do whatever they want. So the most important thing here is, you as parents, the parents, is to educate themselves, educate each other, and educate the children. Because the end of the day is, the only way kids are going to know things are all right, and the only way kids are going to know that if it's kosher or not, is us telling them what they could be using. It used to be, I hear this a lot, and every time I hear it, I remember when you say it, I start shaking. I don't know what an app is. Leave me alone. No. You can't do that anymore. Today, 2018, you can't say, I don't know what this app is. There's Google. You could Google every app out there. There are some basic ones that I'm going to go through them soon. But you need to know what's out there. I had a mother that came into me once and said to me, if anyone knows what what's called the restrictions on the iPhone, so tag, they lock down the code. So the mother came in, could you open up this app for my young teenager, right? So I open it up and I see the Snapchat on it. So I said to the mother, and the father is a chashaviyad, I know the father, and I said, how are you allowing this on your kid's device? So the mother says to me that, what is this app? I said, how are you allowing, I'll explain to you in a minute, but let's get to the first step is, how are you allowing this app on your phone if you don't even know what it is? So what I decided to do, and you can do this anytime you guys want, if you go to the App Store, okay, and you look at any app you want, and you open it up as if you're about to install it, right before that, go scroll down like 3/4 of the way, it tells you the rating of the app. And it gives you screenshots, a little bit what the purpose of the app is, what it's doing, all the nice things. But underneath the rating number, and it tells you why it's rated what it is. And it was pretty suggestive stuff why it was rated what it is. So I said to the mother, instead of me telling the mother what's wrong, I said, start reading it out loud to me. So the mother starts reading the first word, and she's like, why are you making me talk provocative to you? So I said, it's fine. You gave it to your 12-year-old kid. It's not my problem. Now, you need to deal with your Rav or whoever you need to, because you can't just take away the app. You can't take away the app. But once you give something to a kid, once the kid has access to this, you can't just take it away, because they're going to find another way, another method, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, what do I do now? There are many different ways of getting on the internet. In a house, you have cable. You could have a hard plug coming into your device, and you could not so much only like a smartphone, but you also have a computer that you can plug it in directly into the modem. So you don't need any Wi-Fi in the house. You also can have Wi-Fi, and a lot of smartphones today also have hotspots. That means, if the basic, what it is, you could turn your phone into a hotspot, and your kids don't even realize what's happening. You don't realize what's happening, but they have their own device, and they're doing whatever they're doing. And they have access to their own devices. You don't know about it. You don't realize what's going on, and that's pretty dangerous. It's very dangerous. You could also have, and if anyone here has Optimum, Cablevision, Optimum gives you out an ID. So you can say, great. So what's the problem with that? The ID is meant to pay your bills, to log onto your own network. But it's also, the way it works is not to get too deep, but basically they give you a modem, which gets you to the world. Then they give you a router that you could use to create Wi-Fi and share the computers and network in the house. Part of that router, 98% of it is yours. 2% of it belongs to Optimum in every house. That, if you have an Optimum ID in your house and you pass my house and I have it, you could not use your 3G network, your wireless Verizon, you'll use the Optimum ID. So what's happening is that, and I'll go into different types of devices in a minute, but your kid can have a device, go to Walmart, go to CVS, pick up their device for $15. You don't know about it. They get a device, they get this ID because they say, Mom, I need the ID for whatever reason. You guys, or parents, fathers, they don't realize. And they're on complete internet. They have whatever they want. They could go to Dunkin' Donuts, they could go to 7-Eleven. All these stores have public Wi-Fi, and it's pretty dangerous. Your neighbors, if you have your smartphone or you have a laptop, do a scan on your network. See if any open networks are available in your near your house. This way, you could, if any network is available, call up your next door neighbor and say, hey, would you please lock it? I have a teenager, I have kids, I want them accessing your network. Your kid's going to another kid's house. I get all the time. My whole class is going onto this app, all the time. How many times? I hear it almost daily. Every time someone says to me, my kid needs a phone because every kid in my class has a phone, and all I want to do is I want to be like the mother and father like everyone else. Usually it's one other kid. It's not the whole class. But if we, as a team, take away that peer pressure of saying, oh, everyone has it, but we all decide together, just like you find out if the house that you send your kid to is, I know over here it's not a problem eating kosher, but you know what I'm saying, it's the way you only want your kids to hang out with the kids you want. It's the same thing over here with the internet. Do you want your kids to go to so-and-so's house if they don't have a filtered internet? If they allow their kids to watch movies? If they allow their kids to do whatever, and they're not being protective, and they're not being filtered? The answer is no. So part of what you could do is create a network within the class. And when your kids want to go over, no problem. Just find out. It's a quick phone call. Now people know that we're talking about it, so it's not an uncomfortable question to ask. But the main goal is you want to have the most important is having the communication that you are talking about it and the kids are talking about it. Because if you're not talking about it and the kids aren't talking about it, you don't know what to do. Because they're dealing with it without you knowing about it. I had a mice that happened to me about a year and a half ago. Erev Tisha B'Av, a father called me up here in Passaic. A 7th grader, 8th grader kid got an optimizer. I said, okay, I get phone calls about this all the time. There's millions of devices. These IDs are going around. So let me just explain to you what's going on. Kids are sharing them like crazy. It's an epidemic. There's thousands of these IDs going around. When you get this Optum ID, you could create 16 accounts, 15 additional accounts under your main account. So parents don't even know what's going on. If the kids know your password, they can create an account without you knowing. I got this call Erev Tisha B'Av, and this father calls me up and says, can I come over? I said, come over. His kid got an ID. I went online. The ID was from Flatbush. It was not from Passaic. The account had 80 connections in the last 30 days. It's a lot. It's a high number. 72 gig worth of data. So you can say, what does that mean? 72 gig, a full-fledged movie, video that you could watch online is 1.2. 72 is, and if you're not watching a full movie, it's probably hundreds. And if it's not 80 kids the last 30 days, it's probably 100, 120 in the last 90 days. Kids that was using it within this community. So I call up the lady. She goes, how did you get my name? I said, very simple. I went online. I saw your name. I see your cell number. I'm calling you. I go, how you doing? I said, my name's Yossi. I work for TAG. And 80 kids are using your account. I tricked her a little bit, and I said to her, you know, if anything illegal goes on, you could get in trouble. So I don't know how, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not sure exactly how specific, how in trouble you could get. But I got her to get a little scared. And she goes, what do I do? I said, first of all, disconnect every single one of these devices. Change your password. And tell 10 friends. You're going to Shul Tisha B'Av, I'm sure. Over Shabbos, Tisha B'Av, tell your husband, whatever. Tell 10 friends and tell 10 friends and tell 10 friends. And it's that easy to get these IDs. It's that easy. I'm just to get another story that happened to me, which was pretty amazing. Had this mother call me up, came to me in TAG once, and said to me, I have my kid here with me, happened to be a girl, early high school years, but it doesn't, to me, a girl and boy is the same thing when it comes to the internet. There's no difference between, when I say a girl, teenagers, when they're searching, when it comes to this, the issues are the same. It gets, and it could be a little bit more complicated when it comes to a female. But she came with her daughter, and she says to me, everything's kosher here. My husband's a chashuv v'rav. He decided everything's kosher. Not one thing was kosher on this phone. I look at the phone. I see there's every app. If you guys heard of it, Snapchat, Instagram, Telegram, House Party, Kick, you name it, it's there. But I'll explain to them in those apps in a few minutes. I said to the mother, I said, do you know what these apps are? Do you know what these apps do? No. So how are you posking? How are you making decisions for these kids? If you don't know what they are, what's the purpose of these apps? Without being chutzpah, I said, how could you posking like this? I turned to the daughter and I said, I'm an old man. I don't know these things. Could you educate me? What's wrong with these things? Educate your mother. And she went through each app and why they were not just usher, but usher deraisa. Why each one, all the averas that are wrong with it, why? So her mother turns to her and says, so why didn't you tell me this last week? We sat down, me, Tati, we sat down and we discussed it. This man knows what he's asking you. I answered your questions. And if you don't know the questions to ask, then what are you asking? People say to me all the time, what's the difference? I have an iPhone, I have an iPad. What's the difference? When it comes to filtering, there's no difference. When it comes to dangerous, there's no difference. The same apps, the same phones, the same service that you could do on an iPod, an iPad, an Android, a tablet, a Google Chrome, a laptop, a desktop, all that's the same. Except the only difference is a phone and no phone. But there are plenty of apps out there that you could create a phone for yourself. So you could get a phone. And if you have the Optum ID, you're good. I have this rule when people ask me this. Never, if a family comes, if a mother comes in, a father comes in, a Rebbe comes in with a Talmud, I always say, two things. Don't allow the device to be the child's, and bigger the better. Why? You can't take it to the bed, and you can't take it to the bathroom. You can't hide it. You can't take the device, and the kids can't. It has to be in a public area. Put it in the dining room. Put it in the kitchen. Put it in the living room. I had one person that told me they couldn't put it in the main room for whatever reason, but they had a video camera going right on the screen 24/7, and a screen in the kitchen. So, and it had an app that you could watch it on the phone too. And it was recording every 30 days, it was overriding. But it doesn't make it, the main thing is that the kids know that it needs to be, they can't hide it from you. Could you have an iPod Touch in the house? It's not the best thing. Get a tablet. Get those, larger the better. They have 17 inches or whatever. Those huge things. I've seen them in stores. It's the best. Why? Because it just, for them to take it with them wherever they are is very dangerous. Ways to secure your devices. So everyone says, you know, I got my fingers, do the fingerprints. I got codes. I'm sure everyone has the same code for the bank account, for the phone service. Everyone has that family code that everyone uses. Usually becomes the code for your phone. So the kids will figure that code out. And I think of codes, I don't know, so I have to write that down somewhere, because I change them all the time. And then there are filters. So you can say a code is okay. People could figure it out. I had this mother came in one time. She had a fingerprint only. She goes, I don't need a filter. My kids don't touch my phone. I say, never, never. Really? Sometimes. Then she goes, I need a filter. I said, why? I was sleeping last night. I was sleeping. My kids came and went like this with my fingers. And now, she was sleeping. She was taking a nap. Father wasn't home. They had a device. No filter. She found out an hour and a half later. She came in, she came running. So, are you going to say, usually you can't carbon copy a fingerprint? You're right. But that 1% that they're going to take that fingerprint while you're sleeping, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I had a principal call me one time and said to me, you got to hear the story.
I want to question that question.
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, like, what kind of children do we have?
They're good kids.
No,
These
no,
are
I
good.
understand
They're
that.
coming
I
from.
understand
They're
that, but,
normal.
like,
They're normal.
I understand, so I said, we have, Baruch Hashem, we have good kids, but what is going on in this generation where they feel that they could take a parent's hand and do something like that? What changed? What is happening?
It's so
What is
out
it?
there. Because when someone needs to get onto schmutz, I'll use the word schmutz. I don't have to use the word every single time. The craziness that takes over people's bodies. I'm not a doctor, but they say it takes it takes over kids and adults. And adults. Don't think it's only kids. I've dealt with couples, husbands, wives. My wife says, you're not a therapist. I said, I don't know. They call me, I don't know what to say to them, but I'm trying, you know. I try to push them to Rabbanim or therapists, but they keep on calling me, so I do my best. But the end of the day is that you as a parent, it comes back to what I originally said a long time ago, is education. My kids hear it all day, and they hear it all night. And they always say, oh, you know, you can't go onto this, you know, that tag thing, that filter thing. But you know what? If you have a filter, and if your husband has a filter, and you're talking about it, like you can't go onto certain things, and you get blocked because of that, it's the best thing in the world. And you can say, oh, I need to go shopping, I need to buy whatever. You know what? Wait till you go to work tomorrow. Or wait till your kids leave the house and turn on your computer without them being around. I was at a shower brachas a few months ago, and this person said to me, you know, my phone is filtered. Check it out. No problem. Checked it out. It was. I went into Amazon. Amazon's a great app, right? And I put in ladies' underwear. Okay? Nothing crazy, nothing too crazy provocative. The guy he was like, oh my God. I said, you're right. The apps, the shopping apps for kids, for boys, at this age, 6th, 7th grade, you can't have it on your phone. You're going to say, but I need it? You're right, so put it on the computer that they can't get to. Because it's so there in every way possible. In every way possible. Like I was saying, this principal called me once and told me that this kid told another kid a dirty joke in class, something really provocative. And he was called into the principal's office. He said, what's going on? Came out. The father gives a daf yomi shir every single night. the mother's in charge of the PTA and community, Bikachayla, the kid was in the room every night, watching cold Davar. This is going back about 10 years ago, the beginning of the whole, before the whole world of the filters, whatever. But just because you're busy, and I'm busy, and that's good, but you can't allow them to just have a device available, sitting at any time they want. A father called me up once and says, I'm going to a chasna tonight, I just went to tag, I got filtered, can I leave it in my house? No, you can't. It's not a babysitter, and it's not perfect. I always tell people, you argue to have problems, and it's not perfect. You can say, why not? Because it can't be. It can't be. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it better not to have the device in your house at all, or to have the device with a filter to be mechanech your kids how to use it with the filter?
At 6th grade, fight it. 15, 16, yes, you could do it. I'm not saying you speak to your local rav. What I'm saying is,
I'm not saying for them, I'm saying even in the house, period.
as little or as much as you could. I always say Ma'ala b'kodesh ve'ein merida. I always use that phrase when I speak to people. The more high tech you go, you cannot go backwards. It's the same thing over here. Yes, you could hide as much as you can, but if you don't educate them, they're getting it someplace else. You go to CVS, you go to Walmart, you go to call a B&H. I spoke to a guy once at B&H. He goes, you know how many basic phones, how many smartphones we sell unlocked to yeshiva guys? But it's not their job to stop. But people buy. So if you don't educate the kids why it's bad, whether you have it or not, it doesn't make a difference. You still need to educate them on it. Because you know why? What we said before. It's the neighbors. It's your classmates' houses. I'm not saying that one kid's better than the next kid, but if the next parent or family doesn't filter their computer, then you know what? They're going over there. They're not coming to you, they're going there. Yes?
How you're suggesting they develop a trust in themselves and their ability to distinguish what's right and
At
what's
6th
wrong?
grade, there's no, when it comes to this, there are 40-year-olds you can't trust with this. At 6th grade, for them to have trust in themselves, that is the time that they're figuring themselves out. So, what? Yes, when someone's a little bit older, high school, yes, you could build that relationship.
But I'm not hearing the process,
The-
like how a child who hears the message, you can't touch anything, everything has to be, locked away, put away, and, don't go anywhere, don't, and at a certain point where he could be even in a sifter, let's say,
Right.
away from you, where you don't have this
Right.
relationship as you do have in the middle school, where
Right.
you could work on the trust, you could work on, knowing more where the child is at all times. You're leaving this, education for later on, where you don't see the child as often as you see child in the middle school. So I'm just not hearing how at the later stage it
Let
could
me
be
ask you a
better
question.
than.
Let me ask you a question. On the men's side, we're wearing yarmulkes, right? Wear shaitels, nudes, whatever. You don't put it onto your chasna, right? You don't put it onto the wedding. You don't start wearing a shaitel till your wedding, right? What's the point? What I'm saying, if you don't talk about it in the house, what you need to, growing up now, you as parents, Rabbeim, need to have a filter in your house for your own stuff. No. And you talk about it. And you need to say, you can't have this because you belong, you go to yeshiva, you go to the cheder, you daven in whatever shul. This is who you are as a person, as a family, as part of a community. And this is how you're educating and mechanech your children. How do they know not to walk into McDonald's? Because you told them it's not kosher, right? Right? So what's happening is you pass by it, right, you pass by it and you tell them it's not kosher. Over here, they want this phone, it's not kosher. You need it, we can put a filter on it, that makes it kosher. You want this app, let me find out if it's kosher. You can't have whatever you want. There's billions of apps, and you're not gonna know every single one of these apps. But the first step is, you have internet, or if someone else has internet, Google that app. It's very simple. You put that app in, it tells you everything. There's no secrets when it comes to these apps. They're pushing these apps more than you want. There's no way for you to not know what these apps mean. Okay? You need to know if a kid wants an app. For example, kids like music, right? So kids come in, I want music, I want to make music, I want to dancing and, mix it all together, it's a whole dancing music app. Okay. The app you want, like the one that a lot of teenagers use, is called Video Star. Okay? That's the one of them that's one of the many, right? What the purpose of that app is to force you to share it with all social media. But there are other apps out there that you could create music without the ones that are forcing you to share with social media. So you could say, you know what, you want a music app? No problem. Let me find out which one I could get for you, and then we can decide if you could get it or not.
So that's at the stage if child has a device, or?
But you're saying, how do they know? It's you educating, whether it's putting onto your device, for them. I have a few apps on my phone. I have an iPhone. I have a filter, right? My kids want it. They borrow my phone sometimes. I don't let them just go wherever. They're sitting in the living room and I'm watching them. Not the whole time, but I'm in and out of the room. If you're not educating them on the dangers of the internet, how easy it is to get onto things that are not kosher, that the first thing they're gonna do is when they get a device that's not kosher, that's open, is especially at the teenager years, that's where they're going.
Right, so back to, I'm sorry, her
Yeah.
question, when she asked originally, you said that at 6th grade, keep away, so, yeah. So
Right.
do you have a different now? That
No, I'm not
educate-
saying, I'm not saying you to have, you talk about for yourself and for your
Let's
kids.
say computer in the house, that's
Right.
what we're talking about, whatever, computer in the house, and talking about either the child not to have any access to it, or not to have a computer in the house, versus to educate the child how to use it safely, or, obviously with filters, with everything, and
The
discuss.
preferred is not to have. But now let's talk realistic, okay? You want one, you want to communicate with your family, you have work, you want to go shopping, whatever it is, right? If it's yours, I always tell, do not leave these devices for themselves. For themselves. I had a mother that came in once and said to me, I'm speaking to a Rav and a therapist for my teenager. I was told to give him a device. So I said to her, what type of device do you have? So she says, I have a basic phone. I said, call up your Rav. I'm suggesting you upgrade your phone to a smartphone, allow that one app that he wants, and then he'll borrow that app from you. So now, it's not his. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to you. He's borrowing it for however long you're allowing him to borrow. It could be for 3 hours at a time, but he's still borrowing it. It's not his. It doesn't belong. It doesn't have his name written on the piece, telling the kid that it belongs to him and you can't touch it because it doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. Is it better not to have a device? 100%. But if you're going to tell me what's going to happen, you can't expect a kid at 16 years old, 15 years old, that he's going to get a device and he's going to know what to do if you never taught him what to do. But if you say, I'm going to tag, not behind his back, I'm going to getting a filter. I'm going to, I want to explain to you why we're doing this. There are things on the internet that are not appropriate for me, for you, for anyone in the family. We're blocking those things out. But then what are we doing? We're making whatever we need to function available, and then you could use it. Is the best thing not to use a device? 100%. But if you don't educate and you don't explain the dangers, explain what could be done, they're gonna find out without telling you. They're gonna find out. A kid came in one time into, yes,
I don't remember that time, I want you to go through those apps.
Okay,
The ones that people do
problem.
really have.
It's no
they
problem.
know how
So,
to work them.
yes,
Just one quick thing, could you just explain, you mentioned before something about in-app browsing?
yes.
So if a device is completely filtered and locked up,
So
that
that's
means
what,
that if there's a regular app, they can get onto a regular, let's say even a sports app, they can get onto a browser just through an app,
yes,
even though it's filtered?
yes,
Can you explain what you mean by that?
sure. Do I have to you? Okay. One of the ways, every app is trying to outdo the next one. Why go to this app if you could stay in my app? That's the whole that's what all these apps try to accomplish. So a lot of them say, you know what, why use Google Chrome? Why use Safari? Why use Samsung Internet? Let's use my browser. It's quick, it's easy, it takes you wherever you want. So you literally, if you have a filter, you can literally, if you don't, certain filters will not even touch the in-app browsing. That means if your browser is filtered and you don't have a sophisticated filter, your in-app browsing is wide open as if you don't have the filter on. So, and you can literally watch whatever you want. It's everything, everything.
What's the example, Lieutenant? That's the typical use.
Pick a name.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying,
Facebook,
Twitter,
Amazon.
Amazon,
Google
they
Maps?
all have.
Google Maps?
Google Maps is the biggest one.
Google Maps, you can have, it has in-app.
You could see images, you could see, you can literally see images, you could go to whatever you want. If it's not, through the back, through this, if you could look up,
Through the browser that's in the app.
it's,
It gives
if you
you-
wanna
as
look
if
up,
you
let's
have
say, whatever you
Firefox.
wanna go to ShopRite, okay, there's pictures. It could take you into the pictures of within the browser, not within the, not through Chrome or Safari, it's within the app itself.
How does a normal person do that? I'm saying,
You know what?
kid. No, I
You know
know,
what?
know
No,
how to do
forget
it.
about
Believe me,
you.
I'm very aware. I'm just saying, let's do it right now. Can we just take 2 minutes
Yeah, I have no
and
idea.
try to do this? I wanna see how easy this is, because I think for most people, it's a little bit more complicated. It's not even adults.
We'll do it afterwards.
This is
We'll
Kagan,
do
go
it
to
afterwards?
Google Maps and go down terms and conditions and it'll take you right through it.
I'm doing it. I wanna see how easy this is.
Yeah, at the bottom, in Google Maps.
If you go, well,
Ask your kids to do
there
it.
are, so I'll give you quickly, I'll go to the quick apps in a minute. Net Nanny and all the web chavers and all the I'll call it the non-Jewish filters, don't block these types of apps. The Frum ones, the Nativ USA and the Gentech Livigen ones, they block these types of apps, these types of functionality, by default. Most of the filters that are open to the public, they're a lot cheaper, and they're a lot more, you can put onto multiple devices, but the end of the day is, it doesn't filter what you're looking for. It doesn't filter this in-app browsing, it doesn't filter the images in Google the way you want it to be filtered.
How do you filter Google Images?
If you get the Jewish filters, the Gentech Livigen ones, it literally blocks out all those types of it. You could search, go ahead.
I'm sorry, are you saying that if somebody has a filtered internet and pornographic websites are filtered out, but he has Google open, he can go to Google Images, type in any word, and the
Correct.
explicit image will come
On,
up?
on the non-Jewish
The filtered
filters.
websites are filtered out. Google Images, you can type any
You
image,
could,
and the image will
Google
come up.
does have some parental controls, but let me ask you a question, Google's orthodox? No. So their consideration of what's considered kosher is not kosher for me and you, especially for a sixth grader. So, yes,
I have a question.
go
Just
ahead,
pause for a moment.
go ahead,
Just,
I'm ready.
here's the question. What are the studies showing why Netflix is, when the kid gets off of Netflix, just watching
Yeah.
a very nice video, friendly.
Do you want me to stop you for a minute? And I just want to tell you one thing, because you mentioned Netflix, and I was trying to stay away from it. I was reading up last week and I'm gonna say something that's a little provocative, but I want you to hear this. PG
Not appropriate.
allows nudity as long as it's not sexual. Which means, a PG movie, your kid watching those animation movies are talking about things that are really, they shouldn't be seeing. Okay, let's go back to Netflix.
So why, now, I'm almost done.
Are you still gonna watch Netflix?
I'm almost done.
Okay, I'll stop you for one more second, I'm sorry. Do you know that you could use all the 4-letter words in PG? That's okay. Okay, continue.
Okay. Why is it creating a violent behavior when I see it, when the child gets off of the Netflix? What are the studies showing? What's the chemical that's released?
Oh, you gotta speak to a doctor on that one.
That's-
But
you've
basically
never
what's
heard this
happening
before?
is the brain's becoming
Okay.
mush.
The brain, go ahead.
Becoming mush.
Right.
They're sitting there and they're not using it productive. They're sitting there for hours, hours.
No, but there's something that's addicting the child to that content in Netflix, that when you take it away, they have an emotional reaction that they want more chocolate, they want more ice cream, sugar.
Could you imagine,
What?
could you imagine that whole
It's a
thing?
dopamine in the
With
Dopamine,
It's a
say,
dopamine in the brain. It's the
Right.
say
connection.
something about the dopamine, talk about that for a minute.
He's not a psychiatrist.
But
So there are studies
But
on
what
it.
I'm, but let's take that line to a different angle.
Okay.
It's, think about it, this is a regular silly cartoon movie that they're watching that you're saying is kosher, okay? Can you imagine if they're watching schmutz? Okay? Can you imagine how much more it's
Right.
messing up their brains? Okay? Let's go quickly with the apps, okay?
I understand
Go
it,
ahead.
it's up to the Samsung internet. Through the
Okay,
back end.
okay,
If your internet is blocked, you can't get into Samsung
okay, we'll
internet.
play.
He'll
with
do it
this.
for him, for
We'll
us
do it
after.
soon.
I don't have a filter on my phone, I'm
Okay.
being 100% honest.
Okay, so maybe that's why. So we're gonna talk about that in a
I'll be on someone
minute.
else's phone.
Let's go with the basic apps for a minute, let me just, yeah,
Talk about like
Frida.
sports.
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 Okay, talk about sports. Before we
that
go into the
mobile,
sports
like that?
apps, okay, the Super Bowl's coming, right? You know what goes on in the Super Bowl? The commercials, okay? Just realize, it's the biggest selling day of the year. And what sells? These commercials, okay?
We talked about like, you know, you're letting the child watch and then,
NFL Mobile?
and the commercials, and then, yeah,
And
and it
it's
gets cut
off.
off during the
Okay,
commercial.
okay, fine.
That's showing, that's setting the boundary.
Okay, correct. You know what? I allow my kids to watch the Super Bowl, but the deal is, no commercials, no halftime. That's the rule.
That's what I.
That's the rule.
Isn't it like a minute to live?
No, you know when it's coming. And you know what, you have to, again, chanoch l'nar pidarka, you gotta understand, if you take it, like you said before, how do they know? If you allow a little bit, you allow them in a structured environment, then when they get to the age of getting on their own, they're like, you know what? My father, my mother taught me all the years, I need a filter. Let's get a filter, let me do this right. Okay? But let's quickly, quickly let's go through the apps. Twitter and Facebook.
He just,
Oh,
let's just
yeah.
start from his, because he just.
Go ahead. Sports, okay? There's NFL Mobile, right? There's NBA. I would tell you, go more specific, don't go to channels. Okay? Don't go to MSG, because then you're gonna go to, all the movies and shows that MSG is showing.
How about ESPN, is that?
They have swimming. They have tennis. Do you want your boy to see that?
Well, but then a boy, I think that speaks to the nature of different children have different natures when it comes to these things.
How do you know that?
But
How do you know
that's a bit-
if swimming, a girl
Well,
is dressed
generally-
in her underwear swimming?
that's how a parent is able to see different natures of different children. That's
Okay,
but just on that
I'm
point,
not,
how do
we'll
you?
argue another time about that. Okay,
But you get mail in the mail. Everyone gets mail.
Right.
In the mail is from mail from many places, and you have the same images on advertisements or
You're right.
anywhere. So
right, but that's where I was saying to this nice lady over here, that if you educate what's good and what's bad, you get something in the mail. The billboards on the buses,
Mhm.
you can't get around that.
Mhm.
But if you're mechanech, you're gonna say, you know what? They're gonna, you hope that they're not gonna look.
So that speaks to what I'm saying with that ESPN. If you're mechanech, but you allow them and you trust them within that, then you're basically, at a certain point, the parent has to have a certain amount of trust in the child.
You're right. Is ESPN better than Channel 7 Sports? Yes. Because then 7 has all the movies, all the shows. Is ESPN better? Yes. But, you know, it's a step, you know what I'm saying? You know, NBA is the best, ESPN is second, and the channel itself is third. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, let's quickly go through the apps. Facebook and Twitter. It used to be Facebook and Twitter. Those were the two first apps that came out. Facebook officially cleaned up their app that you can't really get straight schmutz. But what you call schmutz and what they call schmutz is two worlds. And for them it's okay to see people not dressed. And the bathing suits or whatever it is. Every person has a Facebook account in the acting world. Okay? And every person has a Twitter account. You go into Twitter and you type in any word. 3 letters, 6 letters, 10 letters. You get the cold over us very quickly. Very quickly. Try it. Don't.
I don't think
Okay.
social media is an appropriate
What's
thing for
that?
your kid to have, period, across the board.
But they're going to it. They're going to it. That's the problem. You think they're not going to it?
If their
How are they
parents
going?
don't do it?
Well, correct, correct. WhatsApp, do you know what's wrong with WhatsApp?
I don't know.
Yeah, I happen to know what's wrong
Okay, do
with
you know,
WhatsApp.
okay, WhatsApp, just, I know people have it, everyone says it's wrong, we all use
You
it.
can get links to download straight stuff
No,
right
that's,
from it.
that's Telegram.
Waste your time.
No, it's
No.
straight through WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
No, you can get
What's
pictures,
the
you get
problem?
videos, you could do video calling, and you could do calling not through your phone. So, it's not through your phone logs. So what basically is, kids could be, us adults, our family chats, whatever, it's clean stuff. Kids, what are they going straight to? What are their chats full of?
Why?
What? Because that's the quickest thing that's funny for them.
Wrong
Okay. Okay, the next app you probably never heard of, Telegram.
One second. She wants to ask
Oh, I'm
a
sorry.
question for
I wanna make a
15 minutes
comment.
already.
Go ahead,
And correct me if I'm wrong,
go ahead.
and I might be wrong. I think we kind of underestimate the pull that kids have. We think that they're those little cuties from pre-1 age. They're not.
No.
I mean, they're still cute, but they're not going to be 10 and 11 forever.
No.
And I think I have a son in this class, and I still call him cutie, and he hates it. But he's not going to stay that cute
No.
little boy for long, and I do not want to even imagine that he's going to be on Facebook anytime in his life, because I think it's just, you know, a waste of time. That's just my opinion, but it doesn't mean that this is what he's going to choose. And I think we, as parents, I can talk for myself, I should talk for myself, I underestimate the pull that kids have towards any screen time. So I teach in first grade, and I see everything that I'm going to show them on the screen, even if it's like the most complicated fact in physics, they would love it.
Right.
So, and these are first graders. So I think we have to take that into consideration, because
They're growing up before you realize, and you need to prepare them for when they get a little bit older.
I hate to say this, but as Rabbein and Mechanech, like, we're often in the room when the kids don't realize that we're there, and we do hear boys talking, and even the most wonderful, sweet boys, they're just natural, normal kids. I'm saying, like, that's the reality. That is the reality. What?
Driving carpool too.
Driving carpool too, right? And I think if we keep our ears open, we'll know that the cute, sweet, wonderful boys that I really think very highly of every single boy in the 6th and 7th grade. I know every single one, and I truly, truly care for each and every single one. But it is a reality that this is what they're going through. It is, and I know that they know about it because I hear them talking.
A lot of it is curiosity. It's not, and at this age, if you want to call it, it's curiosity if they're doing it. In a year or two now, it's on purpose.
I think before, when Mr. David was talking about pull, I think before we talked about trust, I think kind of way, it's not a matter of trust, it's almost like not fear to put it in front of them when
Right.
they have this pull. And I think it's not a matter of trust, and normally you put it, but if it's right in front of them, they have this pull, it's not an issue of trust anymore. It's not that they have
It's
a
just stronger than all of us.
Right,
Right.
So
right.
it's for sure stronger than them. They were
Yes.
born into this, you
Go.
know?
How can you set it up so that, this drive, let's say, whatever it is, to go, that if they make a mistake and they go on whatever things shouldn't go on, that they don't categorize themselves as such and such type of person, like to beat themselves up, that there's like an escape out for them, that it's okay that they made this mistake, and like, in other words, that they're not just gonna continue down. Like, how do you mechanech them, that okay, everybody makes mistakes or whatever it is, but they have this big opening out from that avenue.
If you put a filter on it, they won't have that mistake possible because they'll be blocked, okay? In your house, okay. But at the end of the day is, it comes down to education and communication between you and your kids. And if you don't know how to access these sites, or these apps, or what these sites do, or what these apps do, then how are you mechanech them? How are you educating them? You need to know, if you give your kid an app, and you see this, and they want this phone, this device, this app, no problem, write it down on a piece of paper. Go to the internet when they're not home, and read up on every single one of them, yourself. Because if you don't educate yourself, yes, you could call me up and I could tell you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, you can have this, you can have that. But the end of the day is, if you don't know, how are you telling that to your kid? Because someone else told you? You need to know. And if you know, then you could help them out. Right?
No, I hear, but I don't want them to, I hear it's about chinuch, and I hear it's about communication, and I hear it's about knowing, but if they were to make a mistake,
You
and I wouldn't know.
could sit it down, and say, listen,
I would
the
want
world's,
them to know
right,
that they
that's
could
part,
get out of it.
your chinuch is telling them, you made a mistake, no one's perfect.
Part of the education is to tell them that if a person is in a situation that he has a chance to make a mistake, he will make a mistake. And that's normal,
Right.
and that's fine, we have to always work to be better. That's another point I want to just bring up again, that if one of the boys in the 6th and 7th grade has access and they don't go on, then something's wrong with them. Not
Right.
that. Did I say that well?
Yes.
It's normal for a child.
If
They have open internet.
That's normal. If it's abnormal if they don't go on, it's totally abnormal if they have a chance to go on but they don't go on.
And if they make that decision?
So tell me, make
Then
how do you
that's
know they
why
made the
hopefully you
decision?
always have open communication
Open
with them.
communication.
Right.
And part of that is that you raise,
Right.
you told them even before they went on, that if they ever have a chance, they probably will do it. And that's terrible. At the same time, it's normal. And please come talk to me about it, because I know that's normal. And then hopefully they'll come to you, or to one of us, or to
Yes.
someone.
So why don't you teach it at school? Part of the class.
Is
Tell
there
the
an
kids
opening
you need to speak
Right.
in class
You're 100%
about
correct.
it.
There's,
In high school.
Yeah, at least once a week
Right.
to have some conversation about it.
So the truth is that I think that it's really part of the stuff on the chairs, and part of the last part of this presentation tonight is getting right to that. It is getting right to that. Part of the challenge of speaking to a class is speaking to a diverse crowd. Meaning, if I speak, let's say I talk about how to navigate a personal device. Let's say I'll be talking about which is really against the school rules, but I'll talk about it anyways. Let's say a kid has his own device. So talking to a class about that is one conversation. But let's say I take the lowest common denominator, and I just talk about the theoretical possibility that people who use the smartphones, what they could, but that's also not talking to the kids. So part of it is
No,
also
yes, I'm
is
talking
having
about
a baseline.
straight talk.
straight talk.
Straight talk.
So there's two things. There's technology and what you're saying. So I'll first talk about that. So they are very related. But when it comes to technology, in my classroom, I always spoke about it more as a theoretical thing. Meaning, this is what's out
Because
there.
all we're talking here is the kids knows about it.
Right.
And when they are in the carpool, when you hear in class and the
Right.
break time, they talk about it.
Right.
So face straight.
Right.
So the thing
Don't
is that
just
the
go
straight-
You have to
around.
know what's out there.
Every kid is so
Right,
interested in it,
right.
they speak straight.
Why? Why go around it all the time?
What is Zachary saying?
Are you afraid of a monster that you can
No, but
create
Mr.
bigger
Bernard,
monster?
I'd like to
No.
address what he's saying. Mrs. Starkin was saying it just now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna say it out loud.
Douglas.
That there's the homes are different, so I'm not gonna speak straight about something if there's